This is the story of how the last dragon died. My grandparents used to live in this village hidden deep within the mountain. My grandma and I would pick pine cones for fire and rose hips for tea. Long, long ago, my grandma would say, hey, over there. People saw a bear. I turn and look in that direction as if to catch the bear right this second, sneakily hiding among the trees. You know, people say women dragons would roam our lands and turn into scary bears, chasing people away. But whenever they were with their lover, the shepherd, they turn into outworldly beauties. I wish I could catch a glimpse of one of them at least once, but when was the last time I saw a shepherd though? You know, I was born in the city, so it will always hold a special place in my heart. But it is in those fields that I felt happiest. Just gathering herbs and lying on the grass away from the people. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't like people. I am fascinated with us. Whatever I do, I end up trying to analyze the human psyche. I want to know all the whys and the whats. I want to understand us better. Why did people think like that? What made them do that? Why did they fear that? And what did they like? Do you know what's the most primal human emotion? I mean, different people will tell you different things, I'm sure. But I think it's fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what you're not in control. We just can't bear it for some reason. We try to rationalize and organize all around us. Create order from chaos, establish rules, and find explanations for every issue that arises. I guess it makes us feel less helpless. Just can you imagine back in the day how terrifying the world must have felt? One thunderstorm could probably send you into a panic. The dark clouds hanging above you, rumbling as if they'll fall any minute, and then old people here say that when there is a thunderstorm, two dragons are fighting in the sky. One is an intruder and the other one, the guardian of the village, trying to protect his people. You know, those fights would be vicious sometimes. A dragon could even fall on the ground. I don't know about your local dragons, but ours are a fan of milk. People would go feed them with milk and nurse them back to health. Great fortunes would come to those who take care of a dragon. You know, the dragon has a bit of a controversial image. I've heard people associate the European dragon solely with fire and evil, and the East Asian one with water, benevolence, and wisdom. Of course, this is not really true. The dragon is neither good nor evil. It is us humans that like these categories. Puts everything neatly in order. Who should we root for? Who should we hate? You know, for a world that's so powerfully moved by the idea of good and evil, we sure have a lot more nuance going on. I've heard people say that they're good people, and you know you kinda look at them funny because being an adequate human starts with acknowledging the flaws in your nature. Speaking of nature, would you call nature good or evil? There are very few feelings as blissful as the sunlight kissing your face, and the chirps of happy little birds, the way the dirt smells, and how soft the mountain moss is. Nature heals, it gives power to the soul. But then what about the devastating floods? The earthquakes, the tornadoes, hurricanes, taking countless of lives within minutes. One moment you have all the people you love around you and the next they're gone. Your life is gone. Would you call nature good or evil? Maybe you'd say that it's just nature. Sometimes it's harsh and sometimes it's giving. And well, the dragon is nature. Some say that the Chinese dragon, or long, originated from the ancient practice of worshipping thunders. And well, here in my cozy little country, Bulgaria, thousands of miles away from East Asia, our dragons, or zmei, are associated with thunders and rains as well. They can even show up to you as clouds or swirling wind, a concept that also exists in East Asia. I personally like observing such similarities from a cultural and historical perspective, but recently I got to thinking that geography probably plays a huge role too. I graduated Korean studies a while ago, but one of the first things we learned when I was there is how much Korea prides themselves on their 4 distinct seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. I mean, I know, when you look at it globally, of course they're not the only ones that have 4 seasons, but I wonder if that played a role in the Chinese long and the Korean yong just having similarities with ours may. Even though our countries are so far apart, we were agrarian societies relying on crops, and given that we have similar weather, why wouldn't we be afraid and in awe of the same phenomenon, a thunderstorm or drought? There's this high mountain near my city. I feel like wherever you go, it always kind of follows you, like the moon at night through a car window. I find it to be especially pretty in those parts of the day when it looks like it's covered by soft mauve duvet. It's like from a fairy tale, but I don't think any dragons live there. Maybe we've chased them away. You have to see the smoke my city makes. If I was trying to sell estates to the dragons, this one would be on discount because of the air quality and the unpleasant view. Dragons seem to like their peace and quiet. Go to any village and listen to the wind. It carries people's words of all times and dragons living in the branches or roots of big old trees. Or deep within a spring or a well, sometimes in caves too. Have you seen those really old tall trees that seem to touch the sky? No wonder we had the idea of the world tree connecting our world with the others. Trees are so awe-inducing, so tall, and who knows, if you embrace them, maybe you'll feel a piece of the ancient past passing through your body. In China, people have jianmu, a tree that connects the skies and the earth. It serves as a road for heavenly beings to come down to earth and shamans to climb up riding a dragon. We've always liked the idea of a travel between worlds. How reassuring would it be to be able to direct message the gods through the help of an uber dragon? But let's go back to the homes of the dragons. I noticed something interesting. In East Asia, dragons also live deep within the water, just like in my country. I wonder why? Yak su to. Medicinal water. This is the word for mineral spring in Korea. Springs are known all over the world with their healing powers, and why wouldn't you think that there is a healing creature underneath making the whole water magical? I also wonder, on a more practical level, did snakes just enjoy the cool, moist environment around the wells, especially on a hot summer day? Encountering one while going to collect water must have been quite scary. I've also heard that people associate the wells with portals to the underworld. Think about it, the wells are so deep. Who knows, if you were to go down one, wouldn't you end up in another magical world? Well, not really. You see, dragons, at least in my culture, are very often viewed as personification of death. People are not very good with abstractions. We prefer to see and touch, or at least be able to envision what we're up against. So it's much easier to envision death as a creature from the underworld coming for you. I've heard wells are dangerous for children. They could drown in them, you know. Even as a kid, I was forbidden from nearing the well near my grandparents' house. If a child was to fall there, wouldn't you say a dragon took it away? Well, maybe you wouldn't, but people grapple with misfortune in different ways. For example, let me pose a bit of a controversial question for you. I don't remember where I was asked this. I think it was during my driving license course, but I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, so the question is, if there was a car crash and 2 victims, and you could save only one of them is a young girl and the other an older woman, who would you save? Now, whatever you answer, it will be messed up either way. But I've noticed humans tend to mourn a little bit more for young people, like, this kid had their whole life ahead of them, they didn't get to experience anything, how unfair. How unfair, really? So unfair you think a supernatural force would be behind it. Imagine seeing the most beautiful girl in the village gradually have her life drained out of her, getting more and more sick by the day. A dragon must love her, the grandmas would whisper. Here the dragon again is a metaphor for death. Something supernatural that has fallen in love with the most beautiful girl, slowly taking her into his world. I noticed a similar story in Korean context as well. There's this epic book that compiles all sorts of historical facts and legends called Samgukmusa, written in the 13th century by a Buddhist monk. It tells the story of a king who had a very sick daughter. He had lost all hope, but then one day a monk knocked on his royal door. A simple guy called Hedong. Not very much is known about him, but what he did for the king was to be remembered. Hedong used a spell to turn a bunch of white and black beans into mighty warriors who chased away the sickness, and when they did, a water dragon flew out of the girl's room. You know, here in Bulgaria we also have a few ways of chasing a dragon. Our dragons fear some herbs. They can separate them from the girl they love. How much of this is magical and how much of it is actual medicinal practices? I'll let you decide. But you know, not all cases are gloomy. People tell stories of women who actually loved their mate. And it wasn't very difficult to fall in love with one. Our dragon looked like a handsome, tall man with locks of blonde hair. And the only thing differentiating him from humans would be his wings, hidden under his armpits. Well, sometimes the dragon would have a half-snake body, but I know some of you wouldn't be deterred by something like that. Anyways, the dragon taught his girl the secrets of the forest and gave her knowledge of all the herbs. Unfortunately, those women would sometimes be feared by society as mischievous witches. But, I mean, I can't imagine any society looking kindly on a woman running around living in the forest and fields. Though, I think in recent times we're more accepting of the idea. But, speaking of dragons and humans interacting, in East Asia, as you probably know, dreaming of a dragon is an auspicious sign. Many great Chinese emperors are said to have been born by the union of a woman and a dragon. The way the underworld could bring you death and pain, it could also give you extraordinary strength and power and wisdom. Here in my country, dragons also used to father half-human, half-dragon children with extraordinary strength. Sometimes their kid would look more like humans, and other times I've heard that they'd be like half a snake, half a human, but the upper part is the snake. Now imagine how bizarre that is. One of the few absolutely certain aspects of life is that you can't stop time and progress of thought. Even though individuals can be very stubborn, humanity overall keeps pushing forward towards new ideas. With the establishment of Christianity, the ancient world couldn't remain the same. That's how the image of the evil dragon established itself. The old guardian turned Satan, for it was no longer needed as a powerful figure to look up to. Perhaps because during that time of reform, the land of my ancestors was ruled by foreign invaders, those shiny new Western ideas didn't manage to reach us fully. Here, Christianity mixed with the local beliefs, creating a sort of folk Christianity. Some people kept their oath for the guardian dragon or the warrior dragons who'd fight alongside humans. Others would now see the dragons as powerful figures who fought with Christian saints, and some would intertwine their beliefs even further, imagining the dragons to be the saint's helper. Of course, this phenomenon of religion intertwining itself with other beliefs is not unique to Europe, it has happened all over the world. For example, in East Asia, when Buddhism arrived, it took the idea of the dragon and added on to it. I mean, how else would you introduce your idea to people who are past their youth and are not as easily susceptible to change? But, you know, religion didn't really raise the dragons. It just altered them here and there. It was something completely different that would eradicate them. There's a story our old people know about how the last dragon died. They say that the last dragon roamed our world, and once he met a wise grandpa, and they decided to see which one of them is stronger. Of course, the dragon was stronger, but the grandpa was smarter. And then eventually, the old wise man managed to trick the dragon into getting into a pot of boiling water and killed him. And that's how the last dragon died. Or at least, that's what our old people said, but I don't think it's true. Let me tell you the real story. Last year, I dreamed of the fields. The one we used to roam with my grandma while she was still here. I must see them, I thought. A quick 30-minute ride and I was in our village. Here's the bridge near the bus station that we always passed through when I was little. It kinda seemed shrunken down, but going below the willow tree still felt magical. Oh, and here's the hill that we used to climb to get to our house, and our left and our right, and here are my favorite a golf course. Like a jarring buzz cut spread as far as my eyes could follow. There were no people at all. It was empty plastic green, void of any life, and you know, not only the fields were mowed down to the ground, but there wasn't any tree in sight. How could a dragon live here? They left no space for him. This, I think, is the real story of how the last dragon died. People just forgot. We've forgotten the herbs, the meaning of the tree, the healing power of the spring. I mean, after all, why does it even matter? We're humans, but we're better now. We know more now. We can more now. We are more than nature now. And so the dragons left or died. I don't know. I haven't seen them. Have you? And now we stay in our perfect world of concrete and glass, indulging in the emptiness of our souls. You know, I heard that in Japan there is a 700-year-old tree growing in the middle of Kayashima Station. People build around it as to not harm what's sacred. What a cool idea, don't you think? If a dragon wanted to live there, it probably could. Yeah, maybe it would take him a while to get used to the noisy people, but, you know, we could make a compromise for him and he could make a compromise for us, and we'd surely get along. After all, we're connected. I know that we can't regress back, it's too late. We're used to the comforts of our modern world and that's okay. But maybe, just maybe, we could reconnect with what used to be part of us. Not just because it's pretty, but because we feel the gravity of what it meant to our ancestors, and because it means something to us. And maybe we could try when going to work to raise our head and look up the skies a second longer, and spare a moment to hear the song of the wind, or look down to observe the little bugs rushing on their daily routine just like us. And maybe, just maybe, on a beautiful stormy day when the sky is illuminating pinkish gold, we could look up and see the dragons return. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this video till the end. This story is very personal to me because I live in a country where I feel like we are disconnecting more and more with our mythology and our roots for one reason or another. And I know that this story is not going to apply to everybody. I know that some countries are way more in tune with their mythology, but I decided to write this little dragon essay for everyone who feels the emptiness from disconnecting from nature and their roots. And even though some places in the world have preserved better their knowledge of the old times, I know that the way our fast-paced world and consumerism works, probably all of us, no matter what country we're from, have felt a little overwhelmed by everyday life, or have felt lost in the meaning of it all. And so I just wanted to ponder over everything for a little while, And I'm very thankful to all of you who are here to listen. Have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one, okay?